Hi everyone, welcome to the Electric MotorGP show. My name is Nee and I'm your usual host. And like I promised, we'll be doing a deep dive into the top trim levels for the four cars in the D segment section of EVs. So if you've watched the video that got dropped, I think will have been yesterday, we looked at the base model of the Xpeng G6, the Zeekr 7X, the BYD sealion 7, the Tesla Model Y, and the IM6. And for me, that was a very, very insightful video because in doing the research for it, I found out that I had a lot of fun. It made me realize how much this segment has become so competitive that it's mind blowing to see what the options are. In fact, I'm looking forward to 2026 now a lot more than I was before because knowing fully well what I know about the cars that are coming in 2026, this segment is going to be so interesting. So I'll put it into context for you. The BYD brand is going to be bringing in its luxury arm into Australia in 2026. One of my favorite cars that I've seen, but that's not available here, is the Denza N7, which is also D segment, which means that this car is going to be it's going to be very interesting having that. The new G6 is going to be here in 2026. The new G6, from what I was told, will probably also have its performance version also available in 2026. So that's going to be fun. The G7 is likely to be coming in, and it's also in the top end of the D segment, which is also going to be coming in 2026. So I honestly, I'm definitely looking forward to the cars that are coming in 2026 for this particular segment. Uh, Also important for you to also remember that the we might also be getting the Envoy L60 in 2026, and we might also be getting the Neos coming in. So, oh god, just thinking about what might be coming in 2026 in this particular segment is really really interesting. So, if you want to stay on top of everything, please hit the notification bell so that when we drop videos like this, they will do a deep dive to give you a detailed analysis of what's available in this particular segment. That you will be one of the first people to get it. And if you want to continue to support the channel, please put the link on Patreon is going to be available for you to be able to do that. And finally, we should be able to get memberships up in the next few weeks. Right, so let's get cracking. We unfortunately had to get the Xpeng G6 out of this list because it doesn't have a performance model. Now, if you're watching from the rest of the world, I do apologize, and I do understand that you would like me to do that video with the all-wheel drive Xpeng G6, and I probably should do that. So probably at some point I will do a proper deep dive with those cars available for you. But for today, let's make this really, really interesting. And I think it's slightly unfair to two of the cars in this selection. But I needed to do this so that people can understand what's missing and maybe put pressure on the on those companies to actually do the right thing. So I'll start with one of the first things I always look at when I want to pick a car. I always look at the architecture. Now, I've said this before, multiple different videos. You should always consider the architecture of a car before you buy it. There are exceptions to it. And if you're a city person and you're not going to be doing any long range driving and all your journeys are going to be within the city and you've got a charger at home, please understand that this doesn't completely apply to you. But there's one bit of it that does apply to you, which is when I say future proofing. The second hand value of your car will be impacted by the charging speeds. So in 4 or 5 years, when we've gone from 800 volts to 900 volts to 1,000 volt architecture, if you've still got a 400 volt architecture that cannot charge rapidly, you find yourself at the bottom of the pile. So when I did the future proofing video, I said it's one of the first things I look at. Now, this particular cars we've got on this particular analysis are the Zeekr 7X, which I've been waiting to do this segment because of it, the IM6, which I'm going to be getting for myself, the Sealion 7, which I almost got, and the Tesla Model Y, which I almost got when I first thought about buying an EV. 800 volt architecture, IM6, Zeekr 7X. Why is this important? The Zeekr 7X at the top end of the trim has got a nickel manganese cobalt battery, an NMC battery. The NMC battery means that this particular car can charge at faster rates because it's an 800 volt architecture, and it can hold its charging curve. Whenever they tell you the peak charging, don't fall into that pit. The peak charging is something that a car can achieve usually for about a minute or so. It's the charging curve that's important. How long can you hold that charge for before it drops down? And the best in class here is the Zeekr 7X. The Zeekr 7X at this spec can charge at 450. Now, for us in Australia, makes no difference. The fastest charger in Australia at the moment is 350. But if you do have the 800 volt architecture, and if you do have a car that's capable of charging at that level, when you get to a 350 charger, it will hold the 350 for up to about 50-60% of your charging. Whereas if you've got a 400 volt, it'll get to the 250 mark and it will drop to 180 and stay in 180 for predominantly most of the charging cycle. Which then means if you look at the charging times, the Tesla Model Y, of all the cars on this list, has got the smallest battery. Okay? The Tesla Model Y, compared to all the cars on this list, has got the smallest battery. The battery that it's got is 75 kilowatts. It's actually 80, but it's 75 usable. The Sealion 7 has got 82.7 kilowatts or 82.5 kilowatts. That's the second smallest. The IM6 has got a 100 kilowatt hour battery. The Zeekr 7X has got a 100 kilowatt hour battery. The Tesla Model Y is an NCM. The IM6 is an NCM. The NMC. And the Zeekr 7X is an NMC battery as well. Okay? All the cars here are all-wheel drive. All of them. Okay? But charging speeds, this is where I was going. The charging speed for the Zeekr 7X on this is 16 minutes, 10 to 80% at the 350 charger. 350, 10 to 80%, 16 minutes. 10 to 80% IM6, 17 minutes. BYD, 10 to 80% is about 20 to 24 minutes. And the Tesla Model Y is the slowest charger here. 10 to 80% is between 24 and 30 minutes. You get my point now. It just means that this, from a charging perspective, come on. You guys, BYD, Tesla, catch up. Come on. It's 2025. Catch up. Come on. The speed, which is one of the reasons why I love doing this. I love getting behind the car, checking how fast it can do 0 to 100 and getting my mind blown. I love getting pushed back in the chair, go, oh! And all the cars on this list will blow your mind. All of them. The 0 to 100, Tesla Model Y, 4.8 seconds. If you get the performance boost, comes down to 3.9. But you've got to pay for it, unless you got the launch edition. And 4.8 seconds, it is the slowest car on this list. Just to put it into context, 4.8 seconds, the Tesla Model Y is the slowest car on this list. I'm having so much fun doing this. I'm hoping I'm really, really hoping that in a couple of months, or I'm hoping 4 weeks, I will be able to get all four cars. Maybe not the 7X, because I think the earliest delivery date is October. But I'm gonna try. I promise you I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and get all four cars, and I'm gonna do a range test on all four cars. But if I cannot, I will swing something else. But let's talk about the fact that the Tesla Model Y is the slowest car on this list. All-wheel drive. That's incredible. The Tesla Model Y's got, I think, 390 kilowatts, even though they don't like letting you know exactly what it is. I think it's about 390 or just shy of that, or 420, something like that. But it's also the most efficient, so that's why you can get that level of performance out of it. But it does 0 to 100 or 0 to 62 miles per hour in 4.8 seconds, and it's the slowest car on this list. The next slowest car on this list is the BYD sealion 7 performance model, and it does 0 to 100 in 4.5 seconds. And I've tested this car a few times. It's always faster than the 4.5 seconds. They put the 4.5 seconds because there's slight variabilities in some specific models that come out, which means some models will come at 4.2, some models will come at 4.3. The day I tested it, I was able to get 4.1 on this car. So, and that's the world where we live in, where 0 to 104.1 seconds is classed as slow. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. The Zeekr 7X is the second fastest on this list, 0 to 103.8 seconds. Yikes. And then the IM6, 0 to 103.4 seconds, 3.49 to be exact, but 0 in 3.4. And I tested this in Bangkok earlier on this year, and I got 0 to 103.2. So, yikes. I keep saying this, that this are Ferrari levels of acceleration in cars that cost like a third to a fifth of the price of the Ferrari. Just putting it out there. So, in addition to the IM6 being the fastest, being able to do the 0 to 103.49 seconds, is also the one with the most amount of power. So I'll put it in context for you. The Tesla Model Y has got about 390 to 400 kilowatts of power on the all-wheel drive versions of it. The sealion 7 has got 390, so it's got 160 in the front, 230 in the rear. Same thing with the Tesla Model Y as well. The Zeekr 7X has got 300 on the rear, 310 to be exact, and it's got a 165 kilowatt on the front, giving it 475 kilowatts of power. Then you put it into context with the IM6. So it's got, the IM6 has got 300 on the 350 on the rear and 220 on the front. So 570. For those of you who are more brake horsepower, that's 787 brake horsepower. Comparing it to 700 horsepower for the 700 horsepower for the Zeekr 7X, and 650 horsepower for the BYD sealion 7, and 670 horsepower for the Tesla Model Y. It's got 800 Newton meters of torque. The Zeekr 7X has got 700 Newton meters of torque. The Tesla's got 700. The BYD's got 690. So I'm just trying to put things into perspective for you to see how fast these cars are. Right, so next we're going to talk about their top speeds. Now, the top speed for the Zeekr 7X is 210 kilometers per hour. Now, between you and me, you're never likely to be able to do that on Australian roads. The maximum speed you can do on Australian roads is 130 kilometers if you're going rural. For WA, most of the speed limits have actually been dropped. So even on rural roads now, most of the roads you can only do about 110 kilometers per hour, which is roughly about 60 miles per hour. significantly slower than what you can do in Europe and on the Autobahn, for example. However, given the fact that quite a number of people that watch this channel do watch it from different places, I've put this in there for you to be able to understand what you can get with the speeds on the car. The BYD sealion 7 can do 215 kilometers per hour top speed. The new Juniper model all-wheel drive, I think, can do 220. For the base model, you can do 210 thereabouts. The old model could do a bit quicker, and the performance model that we're expecting to come out is expected to be able to do 250 kilometers per hour top speed. The IM6 can do 240 kilometers per hour top speed as well, which makes it probably one of the fastest in there that you can get. Now, that also includes if you buy the intermediate level of the IM6, you will be able to do 240 kilometers per hour on that, which is about 147 miles per hour. Yikes, that's scary fast. Now, range-wise, the best in class here, which is without a doubt one of the best selling points of the Zeekr 7X, is the fact that you can get 545 kilometers of range on a single charge. It's not the most efficient. The Tesla Model Y is the most efficient. But the Tesla Model Y is lighter. One of the things the Tesla Model Y is lighter for is the fact it still uses a 400 volt architecture, and they've designed it to be more aerodynamic and more efficient. But because it's got a 100 kilowatt hour battery, it can achieve 545 kilometers of range on a WLTP cycle, which means for a performance model, you get more range out of your car. Now, I've said this multiple times. If you're going to be doing CD driving, you're charging at home, the range doesn't really apply to you. But for people to go on road trips, take the family about, the range does apply. Now, what I realized, and this is something that I learned when I went to Indonesia for the Bali EV conference, the reason why we harp on range so much is because we lack infrastructure. So one of the things the Chinese did, and if you go back and look at the Chinese market, and this is context and which is really important for you to try and understand, the Chinese market in 2012, no, 2022, 2021, 2023 was all about bigger batteries. And that was because the infrastructure wasn't there. Now, the Chinese have set up themselves that every 5 to 6 kilometers you can get yourself a charger, and you can get yourself a fast charger that can actually charge at up to 350 kilowatts as standard. There's a lot of 500 kilowatts available. There are now 1 megawatt chargers coming online. So the battery no longer becomes an issue because wherever you go, you can charge, if that makes any sense. For the rest of the Western world, we're still playing catch up. I know UK is far ahead of most places. The Americans are also catching up. Norway's doing a very good job. Sweden and Germany doing a very good job as well. Australia's way behind. I think we've got, from the last time I reported this, we've gone from 2,000 charges in Australia to about 2,300, 2,400. And most of those charges are 120 kilowatts. So it just puts things into context for you why we're still obsessed about the range versus the charging speeds. Because in China, charging speeds is now becoming the main thing, while the range is no longer a significant issue. But it's still important to us, which is why I'm going to still talk about it. 545 kilometers of range on the WLTP cycle for the Zeekr 7X. I think the worst in this particular list has to be the sealion 6 because it's one of the most least efficient. The IM6 is also one of the most least efficient cars in here as well. The sealion 7 can only do 456 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. So now the version we don't get, the one that I've been harking and complaining about for months, is the 91.3 kilowatt hour LFP battery that is available in Europe. That has 500 kilometers, and that was tested in winter in Norway and actually delivers 520. So that particular version, yes, is okay. The IM6 delivers 505 kilometers of range on the WLTP cycle as well. I've done the charging bit for you already to say the 22 kilowatts AC, 475 for the DC for the Zeekr 7X, 11 kilowatts AC for the Tesla Model Y, 250 kilowatts DC, but that's peak. It cannot sustain that. For the Tesla Model Y, 11 kilowatts AC for the BYD sealion 7, and I think it's 210, no, 150 for the DC for the sealion 7 as well. And you then have the second best in class right here is the IM6, which does 11 kilowatts AC and 396 kilowatts DC. Again, I'm going to have to put the caveat in there. There's no charger in Australia that's faster than 350 at the moment. However, because the car can technically take up to 396, it can take 350 kilowatts for longer, which I think it can take 10 to 50 or 60% at 350. Now, frunk, we've talked about this. The frunk on the Zeekr 7X is 62. The frunk on the BYD is 58 liters. The frunk on the Tesla is the bigger one, is 117, and the frunk on the IM6 is 32 liters. Boot space, I've talked about this as well. 539 liters on the Zeekr 7X. You've got 520 liters in the BYD Sealion 7, 854 on the Tesla, but it's not a reliable thing. Please do not take it into account because it's taking three different measurements and those three different measurements are not accurate. The three measurements it's using the under boot space, it's using the measurement all the way to the roof line. So it's got about 110, 120 in the under boot space plus everything else. And the IM6 has got 650. 650 does not include the under and boot space and takes it to the seat level rather than to the roof. So the best in class in terms of practicality for the family is actually the IM6. Now, the interior is where this gets a little bit interesting. Say it with me. The worst interior in the context of the front, the cockpit, is the Tesla Model Y. You've got a 15.4, 15.5 inch infotainment system. That's where you get your driver's selection, though you've got a driver selection in the roof as well. And you've got no driver instrument cluster. You've got a gear selector, but no, you've got an indicator selector, but no gear selector. And you've got no driver instrument cluster. You've got no heads-up display. It's a barren cockpit in front. It's got a lot of space. It's got lots of little cubbyholes that you can do things with. But in terms of the minimalist, no, for me. Cockpit-wise, no. The Sealion 7, yes, 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 and twice on Sunday, yes. Heads-up display, yes. Driver instrument cluster, 10.25 inches, yes. I think it's actually 13. The infotainment system, 15.6 inches, yes. Buttons in the cockpit, yes. Mode selection in the cockpit, yes. Stalks, indicator, as well as a light bar and everything else, yes. Just a lovely cockpit. Absolutely lovely cockpit. The IM6, yes-ish. It's got a 23-inch diagonal screen. I'm not a real fan. I am definitely interested in it, but I'm not a real fan. And I'm about to bust the bubble of everyone who's sitting in here. There's been a new refresh of the IM6 in China. The second refresh in 2 years. They've taken the feedback of the 23-inch diagonal. So now what they've done is they've taken the 10-inch screen that they put that's supposed to be in the bottom, and they've now expanded it to a 16-inch screen. So I just literally found that out today. And I'm not happy, but there's nothing I can do about it. So now you're going to get a 16-inch diagonal, 16 or 18-inch diagonal instead of the 23 that's there, and then you then get a 15-inch screen in there put into the system. So that 16 inch is going to be, so it's almost like a hyper screen. I think I like the new design, but I don't know when it's going to get into Australia. So for now, I'm just going to just stick with my order and go ahead with it. But the interior from that perspective is not too bad. It has no buttons, nothing, no, everything has to be done from a screen, which is one of the things I don't like about the IM6. However, it does so many things right that, and the system's actually very intuitive that I can forgive it. The Zeekr 7X interior cockpit, I would probably say it's very, very close to the sealion 7. But between you and me, the sealion 7 has got a better cockpit than the every other car in this segment. That's me. Now, if we move into the rear, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. The rear, the Tesla is probably gonna come in second here. It's got a nice 8-inch screen that is in the back, which I absolutely love. But it's also got electronic reclining seats, and it's got PU leather. So it comes in second. The Zeekr 7X has got a better overall structure. It's got Napa leather, it's got heated and cooled seats, electronic reclining, it's got rake adjustments as well, decent amount of lumbar support, it's got a screen in there, it's got USBs. It's generally the better interior in the rear. The IM6 is a bit disappointing in the rear. It looks bland and basic. No screens, no electronic reclining. For what you're trying to call yourself a luxury car, the rear of the car is underwhelming. And the tie support in the car, in the rear, is not as good as it should be for a luxury car. So that's me being as honest as possible. Do I like the car? Yes. Have I ordered the car? Yes. But no, it's just not good enough. And to make it worse, I don't know who came up with the, I'm not going to use any adjectives that I shouldn't use, but really, one USB-C in the rear? Really? One? Come on. The functionality and the practicality of the cars as well, the Zeekr 7X wins. Because in this particular model, you get electronic opening, you get 90-degree opening with sensors on the door to prevent it from hitting anything. So if you stand behind your B pillar and you press the button to try and open the car and you're standing in front of the door will not open. You've got to stand on the side, press the button, and the door will open. So definitely, the practicality wise, the Zeekr 7X is a better car. Enough said. Now, this is where things get really, really interesting. And I will explain my thoughts. And you can find it. This might appeal to you or it might not. Hopefully it does. The air suspension on the cars means that the rides are much better. But the rear steer on the IM6 makes things a little bit easier for you day to day. Imagine a car that is almost 5 meters long that has the same turning circle as a Suzuki Swift. It means wherever you are in town, no matter where you're going to, imagine driving in the city of London and you're trying to make a turn and it's effortless for you to do so because you've got rear steer in your car. You guys are not going to understand what I'm saying until you get the opportunity to test drive this in the city. I have. turning, parking, everything is so much easier. Now, ADAS is something that I tend to want to hark on about. And I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I figured out. Tesla's probably got the best ADAS system in this segment of cars I've selected. The only other car that would have been able to give Tesla a run for its money is the XPeng G6, but doesn't have a performance model available in Australia at the moment. And the G7, when that becomes available in 2026, which has 3 Turing chips in it, that's a future-proof car. Both the XPeng G6, both the Zeekr 7X and the IM6 both have NVIDIA Orange and Snapdragon chips as well, which means that they're probably best in class in terms of what they're able to do with the interiors and everything else. The IM6 kind of steals it for me because I've tested the auto park sequence on Zeekrs, and I've tested the auto park sequence on the BYD, and I've tested the auto park sequence on the IM6, and I've got to tell you this. My top 3 auto park sequence cars that I've tested, and I've driven about 30-40 of them, the XPeng G6 is right up there. The IM6 comes either second or first now. Tesla also is pretty good. It's probably, and the Zeekr is fourth. The Zeekr 7X doesn't park automatically by itself as easily as the other cars. It takes about 4 or 5 goes. No matter how much you want to try to do it, it takes about 4 or 5 goes for it to do it. XPeng G6, you press a button, it will do it. I've done it in tight parking spaces and it still does it. And the IM6 can do that as well. Tight parking spaces, car will go in, it'll find a way. 2 attempts max, it's in. 2 attempts max, it's in. And it does it with speed. It scares the crap out of me every time it's in because it's almost with reckless abandon that it just... But you've got to look at it from the perspective, it's a computer. While you're analyzing and manually adjusting itself, it's calculated everything it needs to calculate and it just does it. But it does some other things as well. It pulls out. And I know you think that's not a big deal, but if you're in a very tight space and you've got to do 2 or 3 turns in order to get out of you press a button and the IM6 will pull out. If you go look on the shorts, I've got a video of me doing a pull out in a tight car park. Amazing. The final thing that the IM6 does that absolutely blows my mind is if you drive into a narrow pathway and you're trying to find your way out and you think, oh my God, I've got to reverse. It's going to be a nightmare getting out of this. It's got a smart reverse button. You press the reverse button and it remembers the last 100 meters of your journey into whatever it was, and it will reverse out along those lines. I've used it a couple of times, and each time I've used it, I was absolutely blown away and impressed by it. So that's my detailed deep dive into the top spec of the BYD sealion 7, the IM6, the Tesla Model Y, and the Zeekr 7X. Overall, I think it's the rear steer tips me in favor of the IM6. I think the Zeekr 7X is a very compelling car, and anyone that picks this car, you've not done anything wrong. You've got a future-proofed car that's got fantastic technology in it, that's unbelievably comfortable, that is family-oriented, that is really good-looking, and the shape and design of it supersedes almost everything else in this class. You pick that, you've definitely picked a winner. But for me, I think the rear steer and the ADAS systems on the IM6 just about nudges it for me. And I think it's simply because I realize the cars that you get the rear steer on average, cost you about, in Australia, will cost you about roughly about 180 to 250,000. If you start to look at the Lamborghinis and the rest of them, you're looking at about $300,000 to $400,000. So you're getting this tech available to you in in an $81,000 car, AUD. Now, I forgot to say something in this video, and this particular thing is one of the reasons why the Tesla almost always falls short in any analysis I do. It's a 4-year, 80,000 kilometer warranty. Who does that in 2025? None of the cars on this list has anything less than 5 years. So the Zeekr 7X is 5 years. You buy within this, however window they've put it, you get 7 years unlimited kilometer warranty. BYD sealion 6 is supposed to, sealion 7 is 5 years. Made adjustments to it. 6 years. I think it's 160,000 kilometer mileage warranty for it. The IM6 is 7 years, 5 plus 2. If you service it with IM, you get the plus 2. Lots of us are sulking about this because the MG brand itself gets 10 years, 7 plus 3 as standard. And the Zeekr 7X, it's also got decent 5 plus 2 unlimited kilometer warranty. The worst warranty here is Tesla. 4 years, 80,000 kilometers. God, no, you're not. There's no way I'm spending that money and doing that. I might not need it, but the peace of mind that if I want to keep the car, I've got that warranty there is a no-brainer. So the other 3 cars definitely win on that level. That's the one thing I forgot. Now, if there's anything else you want me to clarify, please give us a shout. Drop your comments in the comment section. Please support us on Patreon while we're waiting for membership from YouTube. And if there's anything else, anything interesting that you want us to deep dive into, please let us know in the comment section. I do try to respond to every comment at the moment. But if I'm unable to personally respond to your comment, I will probably do a video to respond if there's enough requests on the same information. Now, finally, the next video that we're going to be dropping is going to be something I should have dropped about a week and a half ago, which is the launch of the Envoy L90. And I'll go into details about that in this. So like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell for you to get the video on the Envoy L90. So until the next one, stay blessed and I'll see you soon.